Jeff Moon joins me now from here in Washington, D.C. He's the president of China-Moon Strategies. Where do you see trade relations as we visit with one another right now?
I think there are a lot of conflicting signals and trends in the trading relationship. The long-term trend probably is that bilateral trade grows, but at a rate slower than it does with other trading partners. You know, bilateral trade increased last year to a record level of $690 billion. But right now on the high seas, if you look at the container flow back and forth, it's very light. And that's because inventories are full in the United States due to COVID and supply chain kinks. So trade is mutually beneficial in some sectors like agriculture, as described in your report. But there is selective decoupling in sectors where resilience and self-sufficiency are deemed important. Technology is advancing rapidly, but I think that national security concerns are preventing trade in some areas, and the tariffs remain in effect in both countries, definite future. So I think what needs to happen is for people that want to promote U.S.-China trade and relations, we need to preserve what's working, we need to minimize the downsides of what's not working, we need to avoid political blowback, and perhaps begin discussions on how to move forward.
So, Jeff, how do we get there? I mean, do you see much daylight between Trump and Biden when it comes to trade with China? Because a lot of people say, I don't see much difference right now.
Oh, I think there's a lot of difference. Trump just released a video the other day saying not only did he support the past tariffs, but he wants to have more tariffs. I think one big difference between Biden and Trump is that Biden came into office saying, you know, we're not going to negotiate and request that China change. We are going to accept China as it is and react. And that's what you've seen. That's what you've seen in terms of export controls and other trade restrictions that are coming forward, that China demonstrated by not fulfilling the phase one deal, that it really doesn't make commitments and live up to them. And so the Biden administration is taking that situation and moving forward to address the unlevel playing field.
Jeff, I know you must talk to folks out there in the business community. What's been the impact of the tariffs? How do they view things?
The business community uniformly opposes the tariffs. The problem is that the business community has lost a lot of influence in American politics. 20 years ago, when China came into the WTO, the business community had a big say and promoted that very strongly. But over the past 10 years, the business community has been very disappointed, and that's been reflected in American society overall. And so I don't think that there's much pushback in terms of the real political impact of those that oppose the tariffs. I just don't think they're going to win the day.
So talk to me about the ripple effects of this trade war. I mean, what are we seeing with supply chains? I know you touched on it kind of lightly. What's been the overall impact on the global economy, would you say?
Well, I think that the global economy is definitely affected by the situation between the United States and China. Many countries do not want to pick between the two, so they've been put in fairly uncomfortable situations. But there is a strong trend. Some advocate decoupling. I think it's more like selective decoupling, where a lot of folks that have been doing business with China are moving to places nearby, Vietnam or Thailand or other places. Some are moving to Mexico. Some are actually reshoring. I think another big impact is that the American Chamber of Commerce in Beijing just reported that among their membership, China is no longer one of the top 3 foreign direct investment in destinations. That's a big change. And that's a gradual change, but it's a big change in the U.S.-China relationship.
Jeff, got about 30 seconds. Whenever you see a dispute, people tend to dig their heels in on both sides. What needs to happen to create an environment where we might see an improvement in relations?
Well, I think there need to be efforts to build trust. I think that I think first of all, people need to take a deep breath, and some of the rhetoric needs to calm down as well so we can create an environment. The biggest tragedy was that the balloon incident actually took away an opportunity when there was less domestic pressure on leaders in both countries to actually make some accommodation on foreign affairs. And so we've missed that, I think. But I think that there needs to have some dialogue moving forward, at least to discuss and understand, even if there's not much appetite in the United States to resume negotiations.
Jeff, thanks so much for your insights.
Thank you.